Another very large part, which took me a little bit by surprise, is dealing with Europe, because UK is part of the European Union, and the laws, a lot of the laws are made centrally. Directives from the European Union have to be complied with. So I have a vested interest in seeing that the directives that come out of Brussels are good for the UK as well as for Europe.
I've had client-facing roles in all of the countries I've been in, except in the UK, so that has enabled me to understand how businesses in different environments work. And because I have had that, I've been able to relate to many of our international-based clients. Particularly when I was in Poland, there's a lot of development and investment into Poland. So we often had international clients coming in, and there's a very big cultural difference between Western countries and, say, Polish nationalities and their culture. So we often helped the international clients coming in to understand their culture, and at the same time help the Polish nationals understand the international culture. So having those cultural understandings in this global environment is a great benefit that it doesn't matter where you go, you can take that with you.
In Italy, he was explaining, volubility and gestures are a sign of good breeding, whereas in Finland, quietness, silence and composure are a sign of good breeding. So you can imagine when you put a Finn and an Italian together, if they're not fully aware of each other's cultural differences, they're not going to be able to do business.
Looking at it from an individual's point of view, those people in business that are going to be successful in the future, and indeed this is probably true of the recent past as well, are international in their outlook. They have an ability to communicate well with people of different countries and cultures, and they have the ability to be able to travel well. In other words, to get off a plane and do a full day's work, back on the plane again, and get home without being too dissipated by the experience.
One of the really interesting things about having so many members overseas is that I think it's great for Australia. Having been an expat, having lived in places like India, one of the things that I've learnt is that unless you travel, unless you live overseas, because of the isolation of Australia, we tend to be very insular and we don't understand the world economic market, the world management systems, if you like. And so the great thing about Australians working overseas, living overseas, is they get exposed. I'd really like to see those people, when they come back to Australia, bring their expertise, teach young people about what it's like to work in an overseas country, bring back that overseas management expertise and thinking process.
I've talked to several recruiters here who have said, I will take a New Zealand graduate any time without any problems at all. And I'd have to say I had a reunion with my staff in a small pub in the back of Piccadilly on Friday night, and that was wonderful. So to see how well they are achieving internationally is really quite pleasing as an employer, because you've been involved at the starting point for them.
So for any Australians living in the UK or Ireland, I can only say thoroughly enjoy it. Use every moment that you've got over here. Enjoy the Guinness, enjoy the French wine, enjoy the English food, which I think is starting to improve dramatically. But learn and take your learnings back to Australia if that's what you want to do. Come home.